Oh, Scoopman. Scoopman the
Whatever you're
skinhead.
on.
How you doing, lads?
Scoopman the skinhead, he lost a battle with his sheep, yeah, or a lawnmower,
Oh,
or both.
boys. We are here. Trial team list. Mitchy boy, how you doing, mate? We're getting closer to round one.
I know, mate, about what, 4 weeks? 4 weeks to go. So, yeah, very exciting.
Yeah, that's why we're here, guys. We've got our Vegas teams, the teams that'll be over there. They're playing a couple of trial games this week, which will be good fun. So I'm actually going in blind here. I haven't looked as yet, so keen to check all this out. Boys, I'll ask your opinions first while we go through this. And Scoop, what do you think of the Sharks and Warriors to kick things off this week?
I'm quite interested because they've approached it quite differently. As you can see on the Shark side, they're missing a few regulars, so they're letting some of the young guys have a go. But they do have a few first graders in Iro and Kennedy, and just guys like that in the team. Warriors seem to be going pretty close to a starting 13. The only one that I can see missing out of that is Dylan Walker's all the way down the bottom and Boyd's nowhere to be seen. But it is interesting to see Tamara Martin with six and Metcalf in the seven. So maybe that's better for Boyd, seeing that TMM isn't the seven in this team list. Maybe that confirms, well, at least either uh, Metcalf or Boyd rather than Tamara Martin. So interesting to see.
Yeah, Mitch, what do you think of these two?
Honestly, I'm stoked to see James Fisher Harris play. I'm very happy he's named, so we'll see how that goes. I had a look at when I was at work today actually, and on the NRL app it says that Mitch Barnett, sorry, is the captain. I'm not sure how relative that is. Like I've got, maybe don't want to read too much into it, but it was interesting to see that on the NRL app when I checked on my phone that Mitch Barnett was the captain. Um, yeah, this is definitely the most exciting game out of the both of them. I mean, you haven't seen the other team list yet, but
No.
it's not very exciting. Um, it
Okay, well,
looks
let's
like,
get into this one then.
yeah, no, it looks like this Cronulla side is again a lot of first graders everywhere. This Warriors side is more stacked. Really keen to see how Fisher Harris goes and that forward pack. Very interesting to see Tanner Boyd not named. Um, Dylan Walker also down the very bottom, so I'm not sure if Aaron Clark is preferred or I mean it is a trial, so
Hmm.
you don't really know yet until you actually see it.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. And we've also got Niokore on the bench with Jacob Laban starting. So I thought that was a little bit interesting as well with that one. We haven't spoken too much about Laban in this preseason as yet.
We've been talking about Vaymalga a little bit more than him, but he is also a very good up and coming player. So I think they'll probably give both of them a run. What my opinion on say the lack of a Dylan Walker or a Boyd in the starting 13, to me, it suggests they're trying out the new guys or the other possible combinations with the main team to see if that fits well. Like Aaron Clark was brought over from the Titans. There's been a lot of debate over whether Dylan Walker or Aaron Clark is going to be the lock because Dylan Walker filled in with Tohu, but Aaron Clark, I don't know, they brought him across. Maybe they weren't going to play him on the bench. I think that they're at least going to have a go and just see how they go with the main team in order to make that final decision. But yeah, I am keen to see the regulars like Fisher Harris, like Barnett, all the big boys there. I think it'd be a very interesting trial game. Maybe they only play together for 20 minutes, see how they go, and then just go off the rest of the game and give some of these guys like Jet Cleary, Sam Healy, and people like that a go.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun for sure. No Jackson Ford either, which was the other big omission. But it's hard to know. We don't know all the information on guys coming back from Little Niggles, or they're just they're not quite ready for this week, but they can join in next week and get their hit out, that type of thing. With the Wars and these teams, guys, the reason they are getting their trials in a little bit earlier is because they play the week before everyone else as well. But with the outside backs as well, there's a bit of chatter around obviously Pompey, a good chance of not making the side as well. Where do we sit on that one? Who are we missing there?
Rocco Berry, I
That's the
believe. I
one.
think
Mr. Rocco.
yeah, I think he's still dealing with a little niggle as well from our Warriors fan pages and things like that too. So
Sweet. And then the Metcalf one, we've actually been hearing some chatter around him training at 7. So I think this might be it. And Webster's been talking about Tanner Boyd as their depth in his recent interviews as well. It's great to have Tanner over here to get some depth in our halves. So read into that what you will as well. This could be the exact halves pairing, and outside of Rocco, that outside back situation is pretty interesting. But the big one there, guys, is Roger Tuivasa-Sheck on the wing. What does this open up for him, Scoop, with run meters?
Oh, I think he'll get more run meters and more tries. I don't know how it'll correspond compared to his fullback scoring days versus his center. I'd say it'll probably fit somewhere in between. Not somebody I'm actively looking to chase, but I definitely will chuck a star on him now rather than just let him go through.
Seems more interesting for Supercoach probably. With those extra runs, you can get kind of two per run and stuff like that. So, what do you think there, Mitch?
Yeah, I think he's priced at 510 with the dual from memory. I actually did have a little brief look at him when I found out all the talk has been about him on the wing, but I think he'll be more utilized there. He was sitting on that left side last year. The ball always went right. He was catching a cold out there. They just didn't give him the ball. So at least with being on the wing, you'd expect Roger to probably, run his 200 and so meters, get a bunch more tackle breaks, and then be on the offset of attacking stats, which he just didn't have any last year. So, yeah, it could be depending how he plays. It could be very attractive at the price, but probably one to see. I think they have an early buy around 4 or 5, so definitely one to watch after that buy, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And just looking
Just
at that
going back
bench
to
as
those
well.
stats and those run meters too.
Mm.
I just filtered out the 3 games he did play at wing last year. 3 tries, 3 games, a line break in each of those, just under 4 tackle breaks, 190 meters for 46 average. Yes, that's only 3 games. Yes, there's a try in each game. But yeah, it probably does suggest it's a little bit higher than center. I wouldn't say it'll be fullback numbers, but yeah, maybe you can push into the sort of the low 40s, maybe even up towards the 45. Don't know if it's enough to make me take him though.
Yeah. Yeah, if he was 25 again or something like that, for sure.
Yeah,
What about some of these youngsters born in 2005 for CO Carly?
no, it's no good. It's no
Wild
good.
times. And so CO is a center as well. So they're playing two centers on the bench, which is interesting as well. For anyone interested in Wade Egan, Freddie Lussick isn't getting a run this week, so we'll have to see if he makes that the second lot of team list there, and if he's going to be on that bench, because I think some people like Egan. If he can get close to that 80 minutes, that would be cool. But it'd be pretty strange, I suppose, to not go into round one without some coverage, and maybe Aaron Clark is that guy that can just move in and cover if need be, and they'll try and get a full game out of Egan. Are we thinking that might be the play?
Um, Look, to be honest, I'm not an Aaron Clark fan at all.
Mm,
I every single year his name always comes up. People in the preseason always love to talk about him. If only he gets the minutes, if only he gets the minutes, and maybe he does get the minutes here. But Dylan Walker has been their guy, other than Tohu, for the last few years. And in the back end of last year, he was playing massive minutes. And Aaron Clark will definitely eat into that, but I will not be buying into any Aaron Clark hype. I'm staying far away from him. So, look, it wouldn't surprise me if he comes out this week and plays, out of all those guys, plays a lot of minutes because, he has to try to prove something coming from another club. I wouldn't be surprised if he comes out and scores, 40 fantasy points or 45 in 40 minutes, but I still want nothing to do with him come round one, I think.
definitely. I think the big one here, guys, is Luke Metcalf. If he's the 7 and gets a bump in kick meters in this scenario, would kick goals as well. Is he someone that comes into your thoughts?
Absolutely, for sure. I already flagged him as probably having a little bit more of a role this year anyway. But if he's 7 and he gets that goals bump of say maybe 5 6 points, like that moves him from a 33 to probably to close to mid 40s average, you'd think. His attacking prowess has been talked about from his background at 1 and at 6. So he's going to run around, he's going to do ball playing, he's probably going to get tackle breaks, and now he's going to be doing playmaking and kicking. So if he's at 7, I'm all aboard Metcalf.
What do you think, Mitch?
Yeah, absolutely, mate. I 100% agree. It always comes back to somebody has to kick the ball. It's something that I love been loving to say in the last few weeks, and it's 100% right. If he is the 7, he will be goal kicking, and again, someone has to kick the ball. If he has that increase in kick meters, then yeah, he absolutely can be a mid 40s kind of guy, and that gives him his 10 points. And really good player to have on your 4 interchange, one of those spots. Good halves cover. I like it. Only if he's the 7. If he's next to Tanner Boyd, you have to abort because Tanner will then take that job. You have to assume.
Are you saying that you love that saying at the moment because you've been diving deep into Kyle Flanagan and Lockie Ilias?
Well, potentially, yes. Like I said, somebody has to kick the ball. One of them are going to kick the ball, and whoever kicks the ball will probably benefit, but not enough to jump in the side. Just a bit of fun.
And Lockie, with the Mitch Barnett in a leadership role expected here, obviously him and Fisher Harris really leading from the front in this side with a fairly young, outside backs, apart from sort of Roger there in that one and the halves anyway. Do we see Barnett with a bit of value? Obviously, saw my video that I came out, had to dive a little bit deeper with Barnett. Everyone's talking about him. I see him in everyone's team. Is he that guy this year?
I think he's going to be a keeper. I just think that he's already priced like a keeper, and like they thrashed him last year. They absolutely thrashed him because they needed to. They were a bit busted. So I think he's definitely going to be one of the leaders for absolute sure. But how much higher can he go? I don't. I think he could put out a 55 average, but I'm not suddenly expecting him to be Terrell May.
Yeah, definitely. And Mitchy boy, with those two front rowers, I've heard you say that you're pretty keen on Fish. Is there any interest in Barnett, or is it more the price point? Spending that little bit extra might be a bit too much with Barnett.
I no interest from me on Barnett. I'm all aboard the Fish train. I think he's going to have a killer season, and he's probably one of the only people that I haven't really deviated from in my 7 or 8 serious draft sides. He's been the first picked in every single one of them.
Okay.
I just think it's just too good to be true, and it's the upside that you're chasing. Like he's priced at 44 or something, whatever the intricate number is,
Hmm.
and I don't see any downside. Like worst comes to worst comes to worst, he will score 45 points. Like in my opinion, like that's just
Yeah, I'm with you.
I think he's 29, so he's going to a Warriors side where Mitch Barnett, is their other spiritual leader. I think he's 31 or he's around that age. So he's the young guy heading into that side. He's the captain of his country. And Penrith have really protected him the last, since they've went on this dominant run. Like they've got Isaiah Yeo as their main guy, and Fisher Harris, he's been playing 45 minutes. But, if you go back and watch his Kiwi games, he was playing like 67 minutes. He was playing big minutes, and
Hmm.
he can do that. And he's going to have to at the Warriors. The Warriors are not Penrith. And it's a very different when let's say Jerome Luai going from the best side to arguably a bottom side, similar to Fisher Harris. It's not the same role. So his stats won't translate and go down like Luai's, you'd have to imagine. So I'm all aboard Fish. I can't wait. He won't be out on my side. So I can't wait to own him.
Love that. And let's turn our thoughts to the other side. I've just been having a little look, and it's going to be really fun to watch this Atkinson and Puru uh, halves combo. I think with the outside backs that they're playing in Katoa, Kennedy, and Iro, Hirotti's good, Stone Street's good. That back seven's going to be plenty of fun, and they are playing guys like Hamanueli. We're going to see Jaden Beryl. We've got Hazelton and Talakai, Billy Burns and Oregon Kafusi. There's lots of starters in here. So I actually think this game is going to be a real good test for the Warriors in particular, given they're playing a much a stronger side compared to no Trindle, no Hines, Nicaras, and these types of guys. No Teague Wilton for those that are the Wilton fans. Don't get to see him yet, but I think it's going to be a big test for them. And if they can play well here and dominate this Shark side, I think that'll put them in good stead and get them some confidence going into this year. I think that's what they need because the beginning of last year they had that really good team, but just didn't seem to find a way to win. And I think this is a big, important one for the Wars from that standpoint. And as you said, boys, there's not too much we can take out of this Shark side, is there? We will likely probably see Ison, I'd say, in their next trial with the big dog halves. So I think that could be really fun. What do we think about that fullback position? Does this make it any clearer at all to you guys, Scoop?
Not really. I think Kennedy's had it locked down for a few years. He hasn't been as good the last two or so, and Ison's up and coming. I tell you, the Sharks are now pretty much the fullback factory, aren't they? The Storm were for a while, and the Sharks have taken over.
That's true.
They've got all these up and coming guys that are getting poached by others. Even Atkinson himself is going to Dragons. So I'll be keen to see Ison when he does get a run because they do have some outside backs coming through. And I think it's Tapua is pretty highly touted as being a big boy who's going to tear up the NRL this year. So we'll see
Yeah.
how he goes and how many minutes he gets and what impact he can provide while he's there.
They got Cade Dykes as well, which is good fun. But yeah, anything stand out to you, Mitch, on the Shark side?
Um, Nothing fantasy related, but it is their first trial, but nothing fantasy related. It shows that they have a lot of depth. They have a ton of depth. You've
Yeah.
got to think they've got to had Cam McInnes back into the side, Adam Fanua-Blake. Like they have a lot of forward depth.
Yeah. All these
Tuku
guys can do a job.
House is very interesting. Yeah, absolutely. He's very interesting. And at that 250K price, I've got him on my Sharks bench. I think he'll play. Um, and he's currently in some of my drafts as just a placeholder at that 250. He's got an insane PPM of like 1.1 or something. Granted, it is in, 18-minute games, 20-minute games, so it's not a big sample size, but he's definitely one to watch. And if he can nail down that bench spot and, jag 25, 30 minutes here or there, Fitzy has a lot of forwards and hopefully he can rest. Adam Fanua-Blake doesn't need to be playing 65 minutes. Neither does Cam McInnes. So if Tuku can snag 25 minutes, 30 minutes with that PPM, he's a sneaky good cash cow, which, early days right now, but
Okay.
it's one that I'm definitely watching.
Yeah, well, they got Uele, Hazelton, Talakai will be on the bench.
Yep.
Kafusi will start or be bench. So there's four. Then you got McInnes, Adam Fanua-Blake. Anyone else?
Rudolph.
Rudolph. I think he's out, might be out to start. But there's
Yeah, he's
six.
definitely, yeah, he's out.
That's six middles. Oh, and Talakai's the utility.
Yeah, and they could even run Atkinson at 14 to play that like middle role, which he was doing a little bit last year. I don't know. I don't think Fitzy rates Brendan Hamlin-Uele that much. Like
Hmm.
surely Tuku can, he can take his spot. He doesn't need many minutes, but just early days right now. Just a thought for the Black Book for me anyway.
Yeah, cool. Didn't Uele, isn't he on some big cash or he was getting some big
Yeah,
deal or something like that?
yeah, he's on absurd coin. I think there was a rumor going around last year that the Warriors offered him 700 or he wanted 700 or something. It's absurd.
Why do Warriors do that? They've got new core and aren't playing. It decided that he wasn't that good, and they paid him way too much money as well. But yeah,
Wild times. All right. Here we go. The big reveal. Is it nothing?
yeah,
Shane
pretty much.
Laurie. Go. All right. So
The
we've got
big
Ethan
thing, the big
Sand.
thing that I take out of the Raiders side is that Sanders is 7, which is interesting. I think that makes me more confident that Strange is going to be 6
Yeah.
than I would otherwise, because he's a fantastic backup. But if he had been at 6 just to do some 6 work on there, I would probably be a little bit worried. But yeah, if anybody is going a little bit different with Fogarty because they don't like Munster returning from injury and an early bye, he's probably an option if that happens. Or if you're not mega fan of Luai going from the Panthers buff to the Tigers. So I think that you're right. There's got the fact that there's players that are missing here are more important than the players that are here. Like Matty Nicholson, he was always going to get a run at maximum time in this team. Doesn't necessarily mean he's going to play reserve grade or play bench or whatever, but it doesn't hurt. It probably doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to start or that he's not going to start because he's new. They need to get these new ones. Owen Patty is interesting though.
Mm.
Um, there's been training reports that he's been doing some work with the first grade team, and Starling's been on the outer. I can't get behind whatever Ricky's doing. He's just up and down, left and right. I think we're going to see probably a bit more of an indication week 2.
Yeah. I think it's who's not in this team is what stands out to me. What do you think, Mitch?
Yeah, like I said before, it's this one's a little bit more boring. Typically a round one trials type team. I think with Penrith, it's pretty clearly that's it's an outside back and halves shoot off between one another. You've got the McLean brothers and then Jack Cole and Brad Schneider probably just playing against one another really in the same side for a position. And this Canberra side, to me, is just their New South Wales Cup side,
Hmm.
bar Matty Nicholson, who's probably just getting a run. And maybe, Basami solo. But other than that, it's pretty much just their cup side, really. So,
Yeah, which is interesting with Papali'i on the other side. It probably feels like both those guys, new team, obviously for IPAP, getting a bit of a run to see how he goes out there. Probably plays low minutes, you'd imagine, and then gets another crack with the main team, just to see, probably just test out their defensive systems and all that kind of stuff. I'd imagine for him, the Cole Snyder one, because that you could read into that and look, maybe Talangi's got that spot then, and they're going to see how he looks with Cleary. Like I could read into it that way. And as you said there with the McLean brothers, that's probably likely shootout because Casey's actually more of a center and Jesse's the winger. But it looks like, yeah, Casey's obviously got more of an opportunity in first grade so far. God, Dane Laurie's going to tear this squad up, isn't he? He's so good. But yeah, Jack Cole will be interesting at 6. Keen to see Papali out there. I think that's cool that we get to watch him this week as someone that we're keen on looking at. And it'll be interesting to see
If he
how many
throws more than
minutes.
three offloads, do I put him in my team?
Yeah, that's right. Is he not in there so far?
mate, you're missing out. He's already in the side, mate. Come on, this ain't
Yeah.
amateur hour.
Exactly. Yeah. And Raiders, yeah, Owen Paddy's gonna be fun. Nicholson, if he plays big minutes, I think that spells trouble for him in the starting in the first grade side. I think if he goes like a 30 or 40, that's probably where you want him as a well, if you're a Raiders fan and you want him to be in the side, and otherwise it'd be good for people looking at Hosking, I think, if he was to play big minutes here. But again, it's all hearsay at the moment. And then Sanders, he's definitely ahead of Cook. It seems like in the moment, it'd be cool to see him run around with a new squad as well. And Mister, I'm keeping myself out of round one, even though he probably wasn't going to make the side. Albert Hopewadi. I think it spells good things for guys like Tamale that we're looking at, Mitch.
Yeah, absolutely. Once with all the rumors and whispers are that he's already got that wing spot locked down, but their coach is Ricky Stewart, so he's probably got the most volatile coach in the NRL. But now at 300k to Male, I don't really know too much about him, but I know he's got a really fantasy relevant game, and it's great signs that he's not in this side here, which means yeah, he's probably on the plane to Vegas, which is really really good. And at 300k, probably one of the cheapies that will give us a good chance to take. You'd have to imagine early days.
I can't wait till he goes over and just be like, yes, the hot tamale. That's all I'm going for. Um, yeah, good fantasy relevant game. There seems to be a few kind of similarities to like a Robert Darby, that type of, plenty of running meters, plenty of tackle breaks. So he'll be fun, but yeah, near 300k is a little bit annoying, and we'll see how quickly the youngster Owen Paddy can blossom into a first grader because he hasn't got too much to beat, I don't think, in that 9 jersey. He's just very very young. I think he's only freshly 20, so very young in that role and still growing into his body for sure. And what else he got? Preston Ricky, Maverick Geyer, Luke Summerton. I think that at least there's a lot of relevant sort of players or youngsters and stuff. So there'll be two, fun games to watch, I think, and get us right back into the getting close to round one. And we're clearly in the preseason now. And that's the only positive with that app and the desktop, coming out late, boys, is we're right into it. I haven't even gone through all the positions yet. So very exciting for it. And do make sure you subscribe and follow the podcast and the YouTube guys. That would be super appreciative of that. I appreciate you boys coming on. Has any scoop of any? Has there been any team changes after these team lists yet?
Oh, not yet, not yet. It does make me think about Hosking, but yeah, Nichols is just getting hit out. It's not going to make me sway too much on that yet.
And anything for you, Mitch?
No changes yet. I've had IPAP and Fisher Harris in a lot of my drafts, so yeah, no changes yet, and it probably won't change too much until even many of the trials, I don't think it'll change our minds too much. It's more about just more seeing footy for the first time in however many months and getting all excited. We've got all the stuff in front of us. Maybe if there's a bombshell potentially, then we can jump on and get all excited again. But no, it's all pretty stock standard. I'm glad we're actually seeing some decent first graders too, like IPAP and other things too. It's not all just young kids, which is really good.
Yeah, 100%. And obviously trials bring, swinging arms and injuries and HIAs
All
and all
sorts of stuff.
the craziness. So yeah, we'll obviously be here to analyze all that once the games are done and see how it's all looking. But yeah, that first game Friday night 7:30 is going to be good fun. I'll be excited to watch and do come back to the channel and the podcast guys to get our thoughts on how these how these shaked out and how it looks for some of these starting teams as we get to know really last year a lot of the trials we got to basically find out what the teams were going to be from round one just out of those trials. I think last year was the best year for it. And a lot of them were in that first week, so that was really cool. So come back for that, guys, and thanks so much for being here. If you are interested in the private group, just like Lockie and Mitch are, they're absolutely killing it in there. We've got all that information down in the description below, so check that out. I would really appreciate that. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next video.